Hello, everybody, and welcome to this episode of the Creator Come Up podcast. This episode, I had the opportunity to talk with longtime YouTuber Adrienne Finch. Adrienne has been creating content for social media platforms for about 7 years now. Her recent content goldmine has been her TikTok channel, actually, which we touched on a bit in this episode, talking about what she does for her different platforms and what has worked for her throughout the years. I personally got to ask some technical questions about what it's like to get brand deals, how that whole thing works, and what it's like to create ads for the YouTube market. This one was a lot of fun, and Adrienne was full of a lot of energy and very excited to chat, so it made it all the better. So without further ado, Adrienne Finch. All right, Adrienne, thank you so much for jumping on here in your morning on the West Coast, even though...
yeah. Thank you for having me.
Oh, of course. So what I always do is I push it over to you guys and let you tell everybody what it is that you do and essentially why you're here.
You know what's interesting? 6 years later, I still have a hard time telling somebody what my job is because I don't even really know what it is and how to explain it.
Okay.
No,
try your
I'm just
best.
kidding.
I'll help you through it.
No, it's funny just because I feel like so basically for the last 6 years, I have been creating and editing and uploading weekly videos primarily on YouTube. So I have my own YouTube channel. It's so funny because nowadays this is not anything new. In the past, when I would explain to someone my job, they're like, wait, what do you do? You can make money doing that? How does that happen? So it's so interesting now when I tell people, maybe it's that sort of imposter syndrome of oh yeah, I do social media for a living. But yeah, really, for the last 6 years, I've been just building a YouTube channel, and I actually have multiple YouTube channels, but one is kind of the main bread and butter, so to speak. And then, various kind of sub projects have come off of that. I've had, a podcast that was very much more focused on the back end, the business side of sort of creating an online business. Whoa, I just choked on my own. We're good. Anyway, so I've had a podcast that's about kind of the business side of starting and scaling online businesses, and then I create content for other platforms as well, TikTok, Instagram, all the whole nine yards. But I've also done a lot of one-on-one coaching. I'm very passionate basically about the fact that I kind of saw this opportunity. I saw what social media could be before a lot of people did. And I really took that chance and tried to build an engaged audience and build a business with it. And once I did that successfully, I became even more passionate about helping other people do the same. And not always with social media, but just helping other people who are maybe in job situations they don't love, or who don't truly believe that they can take control of their lives the way that you did moving to Berlin. I'm just gonna do it. I really love to help people kind of realize their potential in that way and help them come into their own, whether it be starting and scaling an online business or just realizing what other types of opportunities are out there. So I've done a lot of one-on-one coaching. I've done consulting for companies, whether it be for social media marketing, for dynamic ad, video ad creation. But yeah, so a little bit of everything is kind of my job. I think what I'm the most passionate about is storytelling. So, whether that be promoting a product and making income from that, finding a creative, organic, authentic way to do that really tells a story that isn't just this ad that is boring and, whatever. So that's me.
So do you have a background in anything? Did you go to college or anything like that?
Yeah. Yeah, so I actually went to film school at Loyola Marymount University. So I was that's also an interesting thing. I think when you meet YouTubers nowadays, it's not as often that you meet someone with a film background. And I actually totally started that way. That's what even interested me in YouTube to begin with, was I went to film school and I studied screenwriting. So I was all about learning to tell good stories, because I felt personally like the production element and the editing element could be taught and learned elsewhere. I felt like I could go on sets and really understand that, or buy a camera and really teach myself that. But storytelling and writing, I think, was kind of the tricky part that I really enjoyed getting the knowledge of from school. And yeah, it really just launched me into kind of this space where all I wanted to do was create and film and edit and tell stories. And as you probably know, the film industry is very cutthroat. It's very traditional. It's tough to be able to be creative right out the gates. So one thing that I kind of just noticed was that digital media and social media was starting to make a little bit more of a presence, and starting to kind of butt heads with traditional media a little bit. And I thought, why would I sit here? I had job offers for big studios who, I would have been honored to work for and loved the companies. But ultimately, I was like, I don't want to be a slave to this corporate side of filmmaking. And I want to
Sure.
be able to be creative. And I kind of took a risk and initially worked for like a smaller startup, so that I could have freedom to like make my own YouTube videos still. Cause I kind of
Mhm.
thought, why wait for somebody else to like tell you, yes, you can make this movie or whatever, when you
Yeah.
could just be like recording and editing and uploading your own things for fun and whatever. Yeah. So I do have a background in film, but also taught myself a lot of like, editing and kind of the ins and outs of like YouTube and sort of how to make it fast and bootleg and I do all that.
So how
So
consistently were you making YouTube videos? Did you start doing that in college or after college?
yeah, so I actually started my senior year. Like I started my senior year, but it, like really seriously my second semester of senior year. It just happened to work out that way. I had interned at a YouTube kind of like production company, a YouTube channel, and I thought, oh my god, I need to do this. So I really started right off the bat there, but in a weird way, what was crazy is like that was still considered kind of late for like my age group. Like
Yeah.
girls that were my same age had been making videos since they were 14, like in
Yeah.
their bedrooms in high school. And I was not of that generation. Like I didn't know that it existed. So I was relatively new and like kind of older, which is so funny because I still started before so many people. But
Yeah.
I was making videos like once a week on my main channel,
Mhm.
which it's so crazy. It doesn't seem like a lot, but here I am 6 years later, and it's like hard to even make sure you get one video up a
Yeah.
week. But there's also all these other things. Like back then, it was just like YouTube video and like maybe an Instagram photo, and you're good.
Yeah.
Now it's like your shorts and your reels and your TikToks and your website and your
Oh, I
all this
know.
stuff, and it's like it kills me because I'm like, I don't feel like quantity. I feel like quality over quantity, but these algorithms just want you to be pumping out content.
Yeah, I mean, the guys have me doing 7 videos a week, but that's not me making 7 videos, that's me recording 3,
Yeah.
2 organic, and then 1 podcast, and then splitting that up into
Mhm.
7 total, so I completely
Yeah, that's a
understand.
lot,
It
totally.
it's a full-time, full-time gig,
Yeah. Oh, it is. It
S
absolutely is.
and
And
that's
that's
always the funny
something.
part of, like, the
Yeah.
whole YouTube thing, everybody's like, "Oh, you're a YouTuber?" It's like, "Yeah, but, like, it's a lot." Like,
It
there's
is a lot, especially, like, yeah, people I think finally maybe understand a little bit more that, like, when you're the only person too, which most YouTubers I feel like started out that way, and a
Mhm.
lot still are. A lot of YouTubers who are big still are their own editors and their
Yep.
own whatever, and it really is a full-time job, especially once you start looking into, okay, you're getting sponsorships, you're negotiating deals, you're signing contracts, you're
Mhm.
pitching creative ideas, you're filming, you're editing, you're in it. Like it's a one-person show, and that's a lot of work. And what's crazy is it really is like when you break down my week, there's probably only about 20% of it that's actually like content creating and probably
Mhm.
80% of it that's like planning and coordinating and negotiating, and it's crazy and it's wild, and maybe I should be hiring more people, but I just never do.
So
But
with that, what is your week look like? How does that scheduled? When do you
yeah.
record? When you do all that stuff?
I wish that I could tell you that I'm like so type A and have this like, strict schedule that I'm
Oh, come on,
super
you're a
good at sticking
productivity
to.
channel. What are you doing?
Oh my god. It's actually nutty, like, how basically okay, yes. So I've always tried to have a little bit of a routine with uploading.
Yeah.
What is crazy is, like, seriously, in 6 years, like, I have not ever actually stuck to, like, a same day, same time upload schedule. I've
Mhm.
mostly stuck to, like, a weekend upload schedule in general, like Saturday or Sunday. But I
Yep.
feel like as I got older and I kinda just I don't even know, I kinda just started not caring as much about that, which is silly. It's, like, the number one. If I were to advise or coach somebody who's starting this, I would say consistency is the most important thing.
Do
Having
as I
your
say, not as
audience
I do.
know literally, and I'm like, why do I feel like I need to get hypnotized and have somebody just be like, Adrian, this is what you need.
Yeah.
But
Take your own advice.
yeah. But for the most part, I do kind of have like I try to time batch a little bit and have like chunks of time that I know that I'm working on specific things. So Monday tends to be a pretty like admin catch up emails, like sort of getting everything like set up and planned for the week.
Mhm.
Tuesday tends to be like a filming heavy day. I never want to film on Monday. So I'm like, Tuesday is always good. I'll try to like film whatever main channel video that I'm gonna do for the week, as well as like a bunch of TikToks. TikTok is something that exploded for me over quarantine, as it
Really?
probably did many people.
Okay.
So it was not even a part of my of my daily or weekly workload. It started as a fun thing, and then it literally doubled my YouTube following on TikTok in like 4 months.
Good for you.
So that slowly, thank you. That
Yeah,
was awesome. But
I
it's also
bet.
crazy how that became, work out of nowhere. Like I
Yeah.
enjoy it and
Yeah.
I'm so lucky that I get to do that. But it's like
Absolutely.
now I feel this, oh my God, I need to be making TikToks and I need to
Yeah.
not run out of ideas there. And so I'll be filming those on Tuesdays. Wednesday tends to be like mostly an editing slash like if I have to go film anything else or do whatever day.
Hmm.
Really like Wednesday, Thursday, Friday are kind of like whatever's left in terms of filming and editing, getting videos scheduled, kind of like posting things on social. It's crazy how long it can take to just like post things on like TikTok or Reels or whatever. Like
Yeah.
it seems when you're watching it, you're like, oh, this is so easy, whatever. And then
Yeah.
you go to like post one and it takes you like an hour to like actually make
Just
sure that it's right and caption and this
exactly.
and that. And
Yep.
like so like yesterday, I spent pretty much all of the day yesterday like planning TikToks and I filmed like two. And all of a sudden it's 4 o'clock and I'm like, literally, what did I do today?
Yeah.
Like how did how did that time go by? So but yeah, that's pretty much my schedule. Again, like my uploading has been a little bit inconsistent in terms of when, but that's something I'm trying to really go into the new year with a lot better of an idea of like a consistent schedule because I thrive on routine, but then also kind of need that flexibility when things come up. But
Yeah. Yeah. It's always
yeah,
life, you know. C'est la vie.
I
C'est la
know.
vie.
I know. I know. And I have like just genetic procrastination, but like not procrastination, like not. It's so funny. You are correct that I am like opposite of everything that I'm preaching, but I have
Oh, I didn't say
ADHD
that.
and
Hey, come on.
no, 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 no. I have ADHD. And then so I talk about that a lot where it's like my brain is kind of like battling itself where
Yeah.
I need routine and I need structure, but I also need to be, in order to be creative, I need like to feel like I'm not in a structure. It's so weird. So it's like I battle with myself because I'm like, I need this, but I also need this. So I'm just a bunch of spaghetti being thrown at a wall and seeing what sticks. That's me.
That's a good analogy.
Thank you.
So like what did you end up what's your content like on TikTok? Is it the same? I didn't know that you had to be honest with you, I didn't
Yeah.
know
Oh
you had a
no.
whole TikTok
Yeah.
going for you.
No worries. It's honestly my little secret. No.
Dirty
No,
little
it is
secret.
it yeah. What's crazy is it became so there are many dimensions of me, Adrian. I am the
Oh.
serious business coach, business person that I love that stuff. I am the weird, goofy, like psychopath that is just stupid. No, not stupid, just
No,
crazy.
well,
And
yeah,
then
there you go.
no. And then I'm this techie kind of productivity whatever on YouTube. So I sort of have these different sides of me and they really come out in these different platforms and it's almost not this same cohesive. It's cohesive because it's all me. But on
Mhm.
TikTok what I really do, it's so funny. I How it all started and how it blew up was I used to always and still do have these thoughts that are like how weird is it that, airplanes just are these giant tubes of metal that hurl through the air at ungodly speeds and we're just
Mhm.
strapped to these seats and then all of a sudden we're just in a different location. Like my brain has all of these what some might call like high thoughts
Yeah.
every day all the
Shower
time.
thoughts, high thoughts, yeah.
Yes, shower thoughts. And I used to just have these and I would tell my friends and nobody ever would like understand. They're like, "Okay." Or I'd be like, "Why do we have eyebrows?" And they'd be like, "Because blah blah blah." And I'm like, "I'm not actually asking." I'm like,
Yeah,
I'm
but
just
like
like, "Isn't it strange? Like, isn't
yeah.
it just weird?" And everyone's like, No."
Oh, that's
Like
perfect for
nobody really
TikTok.
under Yeah, nobody really like felt me. And I was like, "No, you're being too literal. Like, I know why we have eyebrows, but like, isn't it weird?" And basically, so finally like during quarantine, I kind of got bored and was just like ranting about these things on TikTok. And like, lo and behold, hundreds of thousands of people actually think the same thoughts that I think. And I thought I was alone and I thought everybody thought I was crazy. So I just started like ranting about my first series was like things that are weird. So it'd be like things that are weird part 2, blah 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 blah. And I'd talk about like any number of things. Here's the thing, if you think about anything in
Mhm.
the world too long, it
It's
becomes
weird.
weird.
Yeah.
Yeah, it becomes strange. It's like if you say the word banana like 10,000
I was
times, you're
just about
like,
to say
what
it's always
a
words. It's always words
yeah,
for me.
words become sounds. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I kind of found this like group of people that were like, "Oh my God, we feel this way too. Why are we like this?" And yeah, so I just kind of did that. And then that kind of also turned into me like saying really like crazy facts, like mind-blowing facts about random stuff. Like I'm a huge nerd actually when it comes to like learning and things like that. And I used to so I just make a lot of videos that have like fun facts and people would comment like, "I learned more from you than I learned in school." And
That's cool.
I'm
Yeah.
like laughing, but at the same time it's true. We
It's
would
kind
just
of
like
sad. Yeah.
yeah, I know. So that's what I do on TikTok. Just a lot more like weird, like just weird thoughts and like facts and crazy things and kind of like little sketches almost like a little bit of comedy, but it's a lot of my personality, but just like, like things people lie about or like just random things like that. Yeah,
So what's your
it's
feel
fun.
on authenticity when it comes to, I mean, I guess both TikTok and YouTube, but it seems like
Mhm.
you kind of just put yourself out there 100% authentically onto
Yeah.
TikTok, just saying random stuff, and it seems
Yeah,
to work well. Do you think that that's
totally.
like a normal thing that happens, or it just, you know,
I
it was
do.
just
I mean, it's crazy, like, YouTube and social media content has changed a lot over, like, the last decade. When I
yeah,
started, what was popular was very well edited, well produced, like, saturated videos that were, like, super bright and, like, you got all these B-roll shots and you had this
yeah,
super nice DSLR camera and, like, that shallow depth of field,
hmm,
and that's what everybody wanted. They wanted this glamorous, like, "Wow, this is, like, top notch."
hmm,
Then as time went on, like, people started wanting just being you and, like, almost didn't want this glamorous, like, produced version. They just wanted, like, you with zit cream in your bathroom with an iPhone, and it's almost like the viewer, I think, has just become so much more attracted to authenticity in terms of, like, we have this weird fascination with other humans. We as humans do,
I mean, yeah.
and it's like which I totally agree with, because 'cause I'll
Oh,
be
I
like,
do
"Why am I
too,
watching?"
100%. I
Yeah,
love people. People are so
yeah,
cool.
people are so cool. Yeah, and it's like, people watching and just sometimes I'll be, like, watching someone's YouTube video, and the video, frankly, is kinda boring and, like, it's not shot well, and I'm like, "Why am I watching this?" And I'm like, "I'm just intrigued." I don't know, like
Yeah,
so people definitely started moving towards wanting more raw, more real, and with that was kind of, like, worse quality sometimes.
sometimes.
Um, but I do think what's amazing about it is that, yeah, people, I think now it's a lot more embraced, like, your weird self, your flaws, whoever you truly are, people wanna see that because people are also realizing, like, "Oh, I'm not the only weirdo. Like, look at
Yeah,
this girl dancing like a crazy person. Like, this is me." It's so much more relatable. It's like,
yeah,
"That is me," and
mhm,
she's just showing everybody that, and, like,
yeah.
so I don't think it's weird anymore. I think maybe, like, years ago, it could have been, a little bit
Yeah,
more like, "Oh, she's out there." But also, I've never known how to, like, not show that.
yeah.
I don't even know how to conceal that if I tried.
Just do a lot more scripting. Just script everything and just
Yeah,
read.
yeah, yeah.
Stare
And
directly
I
into the camera.
well, and I would say, like, YouTube main channel videos are a little bit more produced in the sense of,
Yeah, of
like,
course.
if you are teaching something or, anything informational or educational, like, you do kind of have a plan for, like, what are you saying? Let's make it concise. Let's make it sound good. Let's even talk with more enthusiastic, energy and more sort of like that type of voice. So it's
Mhm.
still authentic to
Yeah.
me, but it's a little bit more produced. Vlogging and TikTok is a lot more just me, raw, in the flesh, how I am.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you make
Um
any videos on social media for yourself? Or like
I
for
dude, I wish. I'm trying. I have this whole series that I'm trying to do. And you know how it is. You plan this whole thing and then you're like, "Ah, I'll get
Yeah.
to it." I mean,
Yeah, it's hard to execute,
I'm
yeah.
currently setting up my room with all the lights and everything like that, so I'm making progress, we'll put it that way.
Yeah,
I'm
good.
doing my best to try to get into that,
Awesome.
because I do, like I said to you before we started, it's like YouTube has
Yeah.
always been my thing. I was there
Yeah.
since the beginning. So I
I
actually
love
do wanna
that.
ask you who your early inspirations were because, like,
Oh,
I'd
yeah.
love to know that, and also
No,
ones
that's
right now, because like, I
yeah.
look at your videos and I see that they're like I could see a little spices here and there if you say some
Yeah,
names.
definitely. Yeah. So, I mean, it's so funny. Like when I started YouTube 6 years ago, I definitely had like different influence. I
Mhm.
actually how it kind of came to fruition was I don't know if you know who Monica or Shelby Church are. They're
I
these
don't.
twins that have been on YouTube since it's fine. It's not really your demographic, but
It's
um
okay.
they've been on YouTube for I mean, since they were like 14. They were those of that kind of generation. They're like 26, 27 now, but um I actually became friends with them randomly, and, like,
Oh,
they were already really successful on YouTube, and I, like, always kinda wanted to start a YouTube channel, but I was, like, nervous, and they actually, like, totally took me under their wing and, like, helped me and showed me what to do, and
that's
so,
awesome.
like, they were huge influences for me, like, quite literally at the beginning, and they're also brilliant filmmakers, like, that's what's crazy is they've just actually they always inspired me because they were these lifestyle, beauty, fashion, girly channels, but they were creating these amazingly well-made videos, like, they knew production, they knew sound, they knew lighting, and I was just very impressed, so I felt like I really gravitated towards that. But in terms of, like, who I watched, I mean, I was honestly never a big YouTube watcher until I started making YouTube videos, which is
Okay.
crazy, and I feel like I'm definitely, like, a vlog watcher a lot. I watch a lot of vlogs. David Dobrik, I think it's so funny, but it's funny, it's like the type of videos I watch are not even like my own videos.
Yeah.
But when it comes to, like, main channel stuff, I feel like what I've gotten a lot from people is that I'm like Justine if she was more of the, like, relatable average consumer, like, if
That's
she wasn't
literally what
as
I thought of you.
knowledgeable yeah. People, like, genuinely always are like, "You're like Justine with a little more, like with a little less knowledge about the tech stuff and a little more, like, goofiness," and I'm like, "Hell yeah, that's totally." I definitely used to watch her channel and be like, "I love that there's a female in tech." I thought that was so
Yeah.
awesome, like, that's like, my videos that I made about tech at first were literally just because I actually, like, geeked out to that stuff, like,
Mhm.
how to kind of, like, hack, different, like, tips and tricks and hacks for, like, your phone or Instagram or social media, whatever. And then I kind of, like, discovered her and was like, "Oh my god, I love this." Like, she's killing it in the tech space.
She's
She's
such a
a
sweetheart
female.
too.
Yeah, it's awesome. So like, definitely was watching a lot more of her stuff. I've had a lot of, like, networks and managers, like, kind of, like, point me in that direction and be like, "You're, like, the next iJustine, but, like, more about, social media and this and that." I was like, "Okay, I'm fine with that." Um, so yeah,
So at
she
what
was
point
definitely
did you get like you said you have managers and stuff. Do you still have management and whatnot?
no, I actually don't. So it's a very weird world. Like, YouTube and social media management is super interesting because
Okay.
basically when it first I've had managers, I've had networks that my channel has been signed to.
Mhm.
All in all, like, what I can truly say is that nobody needs it.
Okay.
Nobody needs it. If you find somebody who's bringing you deals or who is doing for you what you think you need help with, like, is
Mhm.
actually assisting, like, then hell yeah, do it. Have a manager.
Mhm.
But I've just found time and time again that, like, it was kind of this shiny object that we just, like, thought we needed, and then they really, like, didn't bring that much value, and I was like, "I've been doing this alone already, like, why?" So I've
Might
had
as
a
well
number
not.
of
Yeah.
them, and it's like, you don't I think nowadays they're a lot more refined. I think management companies actually have, like, digital divisions now that understand what they can help with, whereas
Yeah.
in the past, it was kinda just, like, people trying to, like, make money off of
Capitalize on
YouTubers
YouTube.
and yeah,
Yeah.
totally, and not even
Yeah.
in, like, a super shitty way, just, like,
Yeah, it's they don't know.
they don't know, exactly, they didn't know, and, like,
Yeah.
the only people who knew were us, and that's what's crazy. We had to realize as, like, some earlier YouTubers that, like, this was still so new that we actually knew more, like, no manager or agent was going to
Knew
know
as
more
much.
than you.
Mhm.
And that was crazy, like, because I just wanted to trust somebody, I wanted somebody to help, I wanted to get more deals, I wanted somebody who was in the industry, an agent or somebody who has brand connections to just, like, give
Mhm.
me deals. But the thing
Mhm.
is and they might have those brand connections, but they did not know, they didn't understand the world, they didn't know how it worked, and I was like, "Oh my god, we actually know more than these people." And even nowadays, it's still a little bit like, when you look at management, they obviously do understand a lot more, but at the same time, they have not started and created and nurtured and built channels for
Huge.
6 years
Yeah.
or 10 years. So
Yeah.
at the same time, you just always have to be really careful and protect yourself because especially with something like social media that's just still relatively so new,
Mhm.
like, people don't know more than you necessarily. So,
It's also
I'm
funny to see.
independent right now.
Oh, okay. Cool. I
Yeah.
mean, yeah, like you said, if you can do it yourself, might as well. No need to pay
Yeah,
anybody.
totally.
There's a little fun fact that do you know who Jacob Sartorius is?
Yeah.
Do you know who Cody Ko and Noel Miller are? The Teddy
Yeah.
Mate
I
Gang?
don't Yeah, yeah, I know Cody Ko, not Noel, but
So they
Yeah.
have a podcast and they do like tours and stuff together.
Okay.
Fun fact: their tour managers are the same person for Jacob Sartorius and Cody Cohen. Noel
Oh
Miller.
my god, that's funny, yeah, I mean, see, that kinda it makes sense if it's, like, a tour manager because I
Yeah.
guess, like, tour managers have very specific jobs and, like, it's a whole different space touring, but, like,
Hmm.
it is funny because they're such different people with
Yeah.
such different, like, audiences, yeah,
I worked
that's
for
funny.
both of them one day at the music venue I used to work for, they had both of them. They had Tiny Meat Gang come in one day, and then, like, a couple months before, Jacob Sartorius and his whole
That's
crew
so
of, like,
funny.
Instagram kids came by. It
Yeah!
was literally 400 girls that just, like, stood
Oh
in a
my
line
god.
outside to get pictures, and I
Yeah.
worked what I had to do was just stand there, take the girls' phones, take pictures, and
Yeah.
go, "Next." I mean, the kids were sweet, but, like,
Oh, yeah, it's
it was so
crazy.
weird. And then it was funny when
Literally.
Cody and Noel came back, their tour manager walked in and was like, "I know you. Why do I know you?" And he's like, "Jacob Sartorius." I was like, "Oh." Oh, it was funny. It was
That's
so
so
funny.
funny. What a
Oh,
wild, like,
it was
industry. It
such a
is so
small,
crazy.
small world.
It
Small,
really
small
is,
world.
and it's especially, you know what? I can tell you from behind the scenes that social media is like high school. It's like there are the groups and it's not always negative, but it's like
Mhm.
when we were a little bit younger, it was a little bit negative. Like there was a lot of toxicity actually among
I
like
believe it.
different cliques of YouTubers, and it's crazy. You think like, oh, they don't all know each other, but it's so weird. It's like somehow we all just know who each other is, and part of
Mhm.
it is like years ago we used to always have like conventions like Playlist Live, VidCon, things
Mhm.
like that. I kind of aged out of that, or I guess I aged myself out of that.
Yeah.
We kind of stopped going to those. Like, I think the last one I went to was like maybe 2017 or 2016, maybe
Oh, okay.
2017. But it was
Okay.
like all these YouTubers of like similar demographics, or not even similar demographics, just we all just kind of like knew who each other was, would like see each other a couple times a year at these conventions and like
Mhm.
but it's crazy because in a weird way, you're like, "How do we all actually know each other?" Like, just from watching each other's videos, we're not actually all friends, and, like,
Yeah.
there are so many different YouTubers and different ages, and so it's like, I don't know how we all it really is a small world. It really is.
Now, did you do a lot of collaboration early on in your YouTube career?
I feel like there were a lot more collaborations back then. I definitely did some, but I feel like I didn't really do any, like, huge ones because
Sure.
I feel like I kinda missed the boat on that. A lot of people were doing big big collabs. And that would used to be a huge way to grow a channel. Like, it was like if you did
Challenges
a
and
collab
yeah.
with someone, yeah, it was wild. And then I feel like I kind of was like too small at that point to be like asking these bigger creators to like collab.
Sure.
And that was kind of like etiquette too. You learn, oh my God,
Yeah.
it was a crazy world. It still is, but it was just looking back at this world at like when it was new and nobody really like knew, like, nobody else and outside of the bubble, like, understood. It was like there was this etiquette of just, like, you don't really ask, like, a bigger creator to, like, collab with you, and, like, when somebody did, it was, like, dramatic and, like, weird, and
Yeah.
some people would, and then other people wouldn't, and so I did, like, some collabs, but really by the time I was, like, big enough to maybe, like, do real collabs with people, it kinda wasn't a thing anymore. It
Yeah.
kinda, like, maybe we'd be in each other's videos, but it wasn't like it didn't help gain subscribers. It wasn't, this crazy thing, so
Also, you're probably way too
yeah.
busy making your own videos as is, so
True, very
splicing
true,
somebody
yeah.
in.
Yeah, I
Um,
would do fun ones, like, just for fun with friends, be like, "You're in town, let's make a video together," but,
yeah.
yeah, it was a lot
Anybody
more
that I would
businessy at
know?
the beginning. I mean, really just, like, my own friend circle, which is, like,
Sure.
all female lifestyle, so maybe not, but,
Yeah, I don't know. You never know.
I'm trying to I know, like, Morgan Yates is, like, one of my close friends, and
Okay.
she's been doing YouTube
Shout out
forever.
Morgan.
Shout out Morgan, we love ya. Um,
Nice.
well, here's this was not actually a collab, but I do have a little like full circle moment story
Uh-oh.
where there's this YouTuber named Alicia Marie. She's amazing. She's one of the girls that I just have always really like thought was badass and looked up to because she totally understood the world of YouTube, and she was so wildly popular, but she also was so smart. And I could tell that she like really understood filmmaking and videos, and she was so creative and she was so consistent and just like everything I aspired to be. She was so freaking cool and people were like obsessed with her. Anyway, so I like looked up to her so much and I was like, "Oh my god, she's so cool." And I think she's like similar age to me as well, and everyone else was like a little bit younger.
Mhm.
Anyway, like a couple years ago, her sister, who also does YouTube, randomly like needed help filming something, and I was like, "I'll do it." I was like had some free time, and I was like, I would love to, like, get to know
I'm
them.
in.
Let's do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was like, "I'm in." And I went there and, like, turns out Alicia, the girl that I was like, "Oh my god, she's so cool." She had, like, been listening to my podcast when it first came out. Like, she found it and was obsessed with it, and she, like, talked about it in a video, and she, like, thought it was so good, and so when she met me, she was like, "I'm obsessed with your podcast, like, it is so amazing." And my podcast was all about, like, mindset shifting. It's, like, about, like,
Mhm.
creating and living your dream life and, like, not letting anything and so in my mind, I'm like, "Oh my god, you who I think has, like, the dream life, the dream career that I want, like, you are finding my podcast to be helpful to you, like, that's
Oh,
amazing." It was so cool. So random, but, like, yeah, so she's a homie now, and, like, we've never
that's such
filmed
a
a video together, but she's so cool. I loved
that's such a
it.
surreal experience. Just like
It
your idol
was.
is like, I know you and I like you.
Yeah.
And you're like,
It
"Oh."
was yeah, it was so cool, and it was also, like, it was weird because I feel like I don't really, like, fangirl over, it's not really like, "Oh my god," like, she said this, but it was, like, truly somebody that I respected and thought
Yeah.
was so great at what they do. And so, yeah, exactly what you said, like, having that person you look up to and think is so good at what they do be like, "Wow, you're really good at what you do." I was like, "Oh my god, kill me now.
I hope you handled
I have
yourself.
lived."
Yeah.
I know I was like, "Oh my god," it made me feel so good. I was very happy. So, that
I
was
have
cool.
I have a buddy back in the States that's a pretty big animation YouTuber. And every time that
Ooh.
we get together, I always just like geek out. I'm like, how was VidCon?
Yeah.
I can never hold myself together because I just want to ask so
I
many fucking
I
questions.
know. I know, right? You just wanna know everything. Like, you wish you could just, like, hire them for a day to just, like, talk to them all day and be
For
like,
real.
"Hi, can I just pick your brain for, like, 10 hours straight?" Because
Obviously,
yeah.
you know something more than I do because you're
Yeah.
there and I'm here. So
Well, and you know what? Like, let me tell you too, like, I think times have changed as well where people like, YouTube is a little bit less petty now, like, if you genuinely talk to people who have done well on YouTube or wherever, or like something, in a position that you wanna be in, and you come from
Mhm.
a genuine place and, like, they are going to wanna help you more than you think, and I think in the past, especially when everybody was just a little bit younger, a little more, like, immature, like and people did try to use people, like, that really did
Mhm.
and
Yeah.
probably still does happen, but, like, I think there was a lot more hesitancy in the past about, like, YouTubers opening up and helping people or just giving anyone advice or, like, ever, like, tagging anyone. People were very protective for good reason because a lot of people would, like, take advantage of it back when it was a lot easier to grow and it was, like, people really were shady like that. But I
Yeah.
feel like now there doesn't need to be this, like, hidden, world of knowledge. It's kind of like for me, if somebody came to me who was starting a channel, I'd be so into the idea of helping them, and to be honest, that's what helped me start. Like when Monica and Shelby really took me under their wing, nobody else was doing that. Like nobody else was okay with like helping somebody else succeed. And
Mhm.
that was something that really stuck out to me was they were like, "No, we love this so much, so like we want to help you do this too." And I was like, "That's awesome."
Hey,
Like those
Adrian,
people, yeah.
be my mentor, please.
I will be your mentor. I will be your mentor. Yes.
Oh, I'd love that. Oh, that'd be
It's
so
really
good.
like the pay it forward type of thing. I think a lot of people
Yeah.
don't think that people, like, in higher positions than them or whatever, like, would want to help them, but then I feel like so often they do. And I notice this all the time with, like, celebrities and, like, podcasts and things like that where like, I listen to this podcast, Armchair Expert. I don't know if you've ever
I
listened. It's
don't,
Dax
but
Shepard. He
oh,
basically
okay.
he interviews, like, celebrities and huge
Mhm.
people, and it's so funny. It's so, like, just cute because he'll have this guest on. He'll have, like, Brad Pitt on, and
Mhm.
he'll be like Dax will be like, "I cannot believe, like, you agreed to do this podcast," and Brad Pitt will be like, "I'm so glad you said that I could be on this podcast." Like, they're both just like, "Oh my god, I
Enamored.
can't believe," and it's like, everybody feels that way. Everybody's just like, "I who, me? Like, they're so up there," and then it's like that person up there is like, "No, like, I what? Like, I wanna do this. I wanna help." It's cool to see
Everybody's
that.
human. Everybody's
Everybody's
human.
human. Exactly,
And that's
exactly.
it's until you meet those people that you real or you meet them on like a normal like circumstance
Yeah,
that you realize
exactly.
that. And that's the
Exactly.
issue. Yeah.
And that's actually why I love that podcast. It's very disarming. It's like all of these big stars or like Bill Gates was on it, Barack
Yeah.
Obama was on it, and like they're all it's just so it's like they're literally sitting there at a coffee shop just like talking about their lives. And they all have the same insecurities, the same issues, the same struggles. Like doesn't matter what level they're on and it's so disarming and just like I don't know. It really shows a different side of like we are literally all human. We
Mhm.
are all
What
human.
is it called again?
Armchair expert.
Armchair expert.
It's
Okay.
it's incredible because every interview is like there's not always like one specific aim for the interview, but it flows really well. Like he'll just ask random questions, but it always ends up just being this like incredible conversation about random shit. It's great.
With the coolest people, with like
Yeah,
all the
with the
people up
coolest
top.
people.
Oh,
And
that's gnarly.
they oh yeah, it's I could go on and on. I will not, but
Okay, yeah, yeah. Switching gears back to
switching gears.
so I don't get fired. Uh, so how long was it that it took you to get to a point where YouTube started paying your bills, making and like your
Yeah.
social media career started getting to a point where you were
Mhm.
making a living off of this?
Yeah, that's a great question. So for me, it was about 2 years after it honestly was about 1.5 to 2 years after I started. Now, I got a big head start because, again, I was kinda working with this collaborative channel and these girls that had a following, and there was a lot of cross promotion, so I
Mhm,
really had that initial boost where I kind of, like, had viewers finding my channel.
mhm,
Um, but then really what kinda started happening was, like, so brand deals and, like, sponsorships were a thing, but
mhm.
it was there were a lot less rules, there were a lot less guidelines, it was a lot more bootleg and kinda guerrilla style of, like, nobody really knew what they were doing. So, it kind of it I started making money from YouTube pretty early on because even some companies would recognize like, "Hey, can I send you my, like, subscription box of random goodies and you can put it on your channel and I'll pay you $200?" And I was like, yeah." This went
Absolutely.
from just, like, something I'm doing for free to, like, "Yeah, I'll make 200 bucks." So,
Yeah.
like, slowly there were, like, all these brands that would reach out, and then kinda, like, once I felt like I was getting enough, like, regular deals. Like, you will have, like, good months and bad months, but once I felt
Mhm,
like overall deals were still coming to me,
mhm,
is when I felt confident enough to, like, not work my other job, because I felt like, "Okay, I'm making enough money to pay the bills," but it was more about feeling like that was sustainable. So I
mhm.
wanted to make sure that, for 6 months to a year and it wasn't a ton at the beginning, like, I didn't have as many expenses, and it was like but it was still livable, I was
Yeah.
fine. I mean, for context, in the film industry in LA,
Mhm.
entry level positions pay nothing. Like
I believe that.
the offers that I had were like $35,000 a year, $40,000 a year.
Yep.
So, and I took one of them, like I was working one of
Of
them.
course.
So,
Yeah.
we're not coming from this perspective of like, oh my God, I worked at Amazon for $200,000. Like, and so for perspective, like when I first decided to do YouTube full time, I think my first year I like doubled the salary that I was making at my other job. And so I think I made like 60 or 70,000, which for me having just graduated college and quit a job to work for myself to even if it was 60, like even like, to double what I was making at an entry level job was nuts. Like, I was
It's
like,
incredible.
"What?" So, it also was a lot easier, I think, for me to feel confident enough to quit the job because my salary was so low. My
Yeah,
salary
yeah,
was so low that it was like, "Oh my god, cool, I'm fine." Like, if I'm living and surviving off of this salary, like,
yeah.
I feel better about it.
Doubling
I
it,
think
I'd be great.
yeah,
Yeah.
I was like, "I'm good." I think there would probably be a lot of other people, especially like now, who maybe would
Mhm,
feel, especially if depending on like your age and stage and what kind of income you want, I think it would be a lot more tricky to like feel like like you would need to wait a little bit longer or like make sure the deals are bigger. At least I would. I think if this were happening now, my standard of like what I would need to feel like fully secure, I think would be a little bit more, or
mhm.
not just like more money. I think just like I don't know what I'm trying to say, but I'm kind of trying to give you an inside look because I feel like nobody talks about this, like
No,
about the
and I was
money
gonna
part.
actually ask, like, what's the deal with what does it look like when you get brand deals? What do you look for? What are you
Yeah.
trying to gather from that before you
Yeah.
actually make a commitment to somebody?
Ooh, I love that question. I was actually just talking about this yesterday on Instagram because I actually accepted a brand deal and did my research and then realized it wasn't as legit of a company that I thought. So I
Okay.
dropped the deal. Anyway, basically for me, so you can always pitch yourself to companies and companies can also reach out to you. A
Mhm.
lot of what happened when I started was like me pitching because I was super interested in pitching and a lot of companies that we know and love didn't necessarily do influencer marketing yet. They didn't know that
Yep.
it was a thing. So I actually would go and pitch and a lot of the companies would be like, "Okay." And like we would almost kind of kick off their like influencer program.
Nice.
Um but usually, like, a company will reach out and they either have an offer or they don't and they just wanna discuss it, and, like, you can kinda tell quickly nowadays, like, "Alright, is this gonna be legit or is it not?" And then if it's gonna
Mhm.
be legit, have they already offered something, or are they kind of just wanting to talk to you to see like what your rates are and what you could do? So I'll typically get reached out. And then if it's right away an offer, what I always look for first and foremost is like, if I like, either I already know and love the product, the number
Mhm.
one thing for me over literally everything, and I mean this, and it sucks sometimes, but it is true, is over money, over anything, I have to actually think that the product is great and that I believe in the company and I
Sure.
support the values and everything. Like,
Yeah.
I will not, and I think, first of all, I mean, I just that's those are just my values in general, but
Yeah, it
like,
makes sense.
yeah, but I think also part of it was that when I first started YouTube, I had a very, very, very young audience. And so
Mhm.
I think that kind of ingrained in my head, like how impressionable they were. And I
Yeah.
always would just think to myself, like, if this 13-year-old girl like asked her mom to buy her this thing, would I feel good about that? Like, would I
Sure.
feel okay? Like, would they trust my recommendation? So for me, it's very much like I need to believe in the product. I need to think it's good. If I haven't used it before or like tried it, I actually will try it. Like, I will have it sent, make sure. And so sometimes it's tedious and sometimes like you miss out on big paychecks because you just don't fully align with what they're doing. But in my mind, like what comes around goes around and there will always be more.
Mhm.
Um, so yeah, usually like they'll either offer a rate or they'll ask you your rate. I always prefer when they just offer a rate because you
Yeah.
don't know the ballpark of what they're working with.
Mhm.
And sometimes it could be a lot higher than you think, and sometimes it could be a
Yeah,
lot lower
and
than
then
you
you're,
think.
like, getting
So,
screwed over, yeah.
and then you're like, damn. And so if somebody asks you your rate, first of all, I mean, on the one hand, you do just have to know your value, and, like, at the end
Mhm.
of the day, if someone doesn't have the budget, you just have to be okay passing. I
Mhm.
think when you first start, it's a lot more like, there were definitely a lot more deals that I said yes to when I was starting that were maybe not paying as well as they should be paying, but you kinda learn your value as you go, and you sort of learn what's, like, the industry standard, and it's a lot
Mhm.
higher than you think. So it is tricky, like, pushing for more. It can be, like, uncomfortable, and it's definitely been something that has had to be learned, like, how to really push for, like, what you know is worth it. Because sometimes
Mhm.
companies sometimes make you feel, like, small, like, they'll be like, "Well, your views weren't that good last month," or, like, what, and you just have to always remember, like, literally, there's a reason they're coming to you. It's because they don't have this themselves. They did not
Mhm.
spend years building an audience and a channel. This is like what you built is valuable, is so valuable. And even though it might feel easy to just take a picture and post it on Instagram, like, because sometimes I do feel like that. I'm like, this is so stupid that I'm even asking for this amount of money. But it's like, that's what it is. Like, that's
Yep.
the value that you've built. It's all those times that you've made things that weren't paid for. It's all like, all of that equals what your value is. So that was a very long way to say, like, the process is typically they reach out, you negotiate a rate. I decide based on, do I like the product? Do I like the company? For me, the biggest thing has been building and nurturing relationships with brands and companies that like I love. So
Mhm.
sometimes that means me like doing a little bit extra work at the beginning, but it is always paid off. Like, I've had multiple companies where they've been like, "Oh my God, I'm so sorry, but could you do like one more edit or like one more round of whatever?" And I'll be like, "Yeah, totally." And then, like, those companies come back to me because 'cause they're like, "You were
Mhm.
so nice, you were so easy to work
Good to
with,"
work
like,
with.
yeah, and, like, they bring me more and more stuff, and I've noticed a couple companies who I just have built these incredible relationships with, and sometimes I'm like, "Oh, my video didn't get as many views as, like, I hoped," but, like, they still come to me for work over and over again because they like the product I create. They like my energy and working with me, so I do finally feel a lot more rewarded for, like, having good production value and, like, really being authentic and genuine with it. I feel
Mhm.
like in the past, people would just be like, you don't get enough views, like, we're not gonna pay you." And I'm like, "Okay, but, like, do you see the value in having this? Like,
Yeah.
yes or no?" And people didn't, and I have some friends who are a little bit more like, "No, like, you don't get more edits," or, like, whatever, which is totally fine too. They know their worth, and they're like, "I'm not gonna do extra work that you're not paying for." But I do notice, like, me getting more, like, repeat deals because of my willingness to do some of that, so
Yeah.
you kinda just, yeah, that was such a long answer, but
No, no, you're good. So when you send an edit, is it the whole video that you send in, like, coupled with their ad portion, or do you just send their ad portion?
Yeah, it's so that's also a good question. It's the whole video. There are different types of ads, though. Of course, there's like mentions where it's kind of unrelated or maybe similar topic to the video, but like sort of just an upfront, like this is sponsored by Bose. Like these are the
Mhm.
headphones. Blah blah blah.
Mhm.
Okay, now let's get into the video.
Mhm.
Even when you do those, though, you always send the full video because a lot of times they just need to look at like other compliance things, like making sure that you didn't put any competitive
Yeah.
brands in the video, making sure that you're
Makes
not
sense.
swearing or getting naked or doing anything weird. Like, obviously, they
Yeah.
just they do usually need to see the whole thing. But typically, what I've noticed a lot more nowadays is a lot fewer of the mentions. I think a lot of like gamers and there's certain like genres of YouTube that I feel like do a lot of mentions, like okay, we're gonna do this gaming thing, but it's brought to you by blah blah blah, and it's not really related to the video, but it's like
Yeah.
upfront for the type of video that I do. And I think why companies come to me a lot, and like good big like tech companies and stuff, is because what I like pride myself on is my ability to integrate a product or a campaign into like a concept very well and very organically. And that's what I love doing. It's my favorite thing, is like
Hmm.
telling a story, even like weaving that ad into the real story that is whatever I'm talking about. So I do a lot more like integrations, like products that genuinely fit into the type of video that I'm making. So yeah, so we always send the full thing, and like, but what'll happen is typically they'll say, okay, like I'll send my first draft. They'll give you all the talking points and they'll give you like the do's and don'ts. You make the video, you send the first draft, and then they'll come back and either be like, great, it was approved, like go live, or
Yeah.
they might be like, give you a little list of like edits. Usually they're pretty minor. I haven't had any like major reshoots, because at the end of the day, and this just is where you really learn like which companies have experience and which don't. And I've given a lot of companies feedback later
Mhm.
being like, by the way, like next time you do something like this, you really should like tell the person up front, like don't, for example, like there was a word, like I kept using this word in a video, and like they were like, oh, you can't use that word, and I had to like reshoot the whole thing, and I was like, but you didn't tell me, like if you had just said don't use
Yeah.
this word.
They wouldn't have to reshoot everything. Yeah.
Right, and it's tough because, like, sometimes there's things that you don't catch. So typically the edits I've gotten are very minor, like, "Oh, can you just take out that thing or swap the logo or, like, move the placement of something?" But I have had a couple instances of, like, needing to reshoot stuff, and it's fine if it makes more sense, but, like, sometimes if I feel like it's something that they didn't tell me, it's, like, frustrating because 'cause I'm like, "You didn't tell me not to do it this way, like, how am I supposed to know?"
So
So
do you step up and be like, do you say that originally, or do you just kind of bite your tongue and just go
no,
for
I
it?
do. I mean, I think, like, really lately, like I'm not new to this anymore. This is
Hmm.
I've been doing this for a long time, and I always like put on a smiley face, and I'm like, yeah, like I don't think I've ever actually been like, no, I won't do this edit. But I definitely give companies feedback. I think that it's beneficial. Anybody should willingly take feedback like that, especially from somebody who's doing the marketing. Like I've told a company like, yeah, no problem. And like, by the way, just a little feedback, like things like this, I'm happy to do this, but it is tricky when, this is something that could have been avoided, and like maybe
Hmm.
just make sure of these things next time up front. Like I do tell people that because I would want somebody to tell me that. Like
Hmm.
anything is helpful. And hey, if they don't take it, whatever, but I definitely always want to like help be like, hey, here's a way that this could have gone better for you and me. Like it doesn't help them to make me have to go refilm something like that. I would
Deadlines
want to make it
later.
the easiest. Yeah, exactly. So for me, it's like anything that I can do to help. And that doesn't typically happen. I did have a really frustrating one a couple weeks ago that was like kept coming back to me with edits. And I was like, you're
I'm never
changing
working with you
things.
again.
Literally, I was like, "Why couldn't you have told me all of these the first time?" Like, because I would, like,
Yeah.
go change the thing, send it back, and they'd be like, "Also, can you do this?" And I'm like, "Why didn't you just give me that whole list? Like, this is not how it works. You're supposed to give me the whole list." If they had me changing, like, something about the edit that was already changed, totally, but, like, no. Anyway.
No, you're a pain in the ass.
Yeah.
Anyways,
Anyway.
with you being not new to this game, is there anything that you would suggest people do if they are starting to just try to get into it? For myself, even like
Oh,
trying to
absolutely.
get into YouTube and really try to hunker down. Is there anything
Yeah.
like a top list of things that I should be hitting?
Definitely, and what's so funny is it's like it's actually easier some like nowadays for me to tell you what to do as a new person than me who's had a channel, because sometimes in a weird way starting from scratch is like really good when there's been all these algorithm shifts, and like when YouTube is just looking for different things. Like sometimes it's hard to evolve your channel over time to like really work in every kind of phase of YouTube. So it's
Hmm.
almost like way easier for me to like sit here and tell you like what you could do to be successful on YouTube. um I mean, first and foremost, that goes without saying, is obviously the content itself, like having something to offer people, like having whatever it is, having value, like whether it's
Hmm.
informational or entertaining, having something to offer, and also like making it unique, not unique from other stuff, like obviously everything exists already, but making it like putting your spin on it, whatever that be. Maybe it's just like you're teaching the same stuff other people are, but you have a better personality, or like you edit it in a cool way, or you're just a likable person, or whatever it is. Obviously that piece of advice goes without saying. It's just obviously
Mhm.
having something to offer. My next piece of advice is not something that a lot of people love, but like I just think it's truly the way to grow the fastest is to really like pick a niche. Like actually pick one kind of thing that is your thing that you do. And that doesn't mean like one video. It just means like one topic. Like if you are a cook, like you like food, then like just make food videos. Don't make DIY house decor videos. Like
Mhm.
it sucks because what YouTube started as for me was a creative outlet, and I like a lot of different things. I like home decor, but I like clothes, but I like tech, but I
Tech.
like vlogging. And it used to be a lot more rewarding of that. It was used to be a lot more personality based. Like if you were just cool, somebody would subscribe. But YouTube, in order to get your stuff pushed now, they want to be able to know what you do. If they
Yeah.
can easily, if the algorithm, I say they, but like if the software,
Mhm.
if the codes can really
Yeah.
tell easily like what you do, and that would mean having similar keywords in titles and descriptions in your actual words, like like for example, my videos that have the word iPhone in it like do really well because YouTube has
Yeah.
already deemed like, oh, this girl does iPhone stuff, so when she puts that word in, oh, it's probably going to be a good video, whatever.
Mhm.
So like really having a niche, which is not always, a fan favorite of for creators, but it
Yeah.
really, really will help you blow up. And also if you pick a niche, like there are actually endless possibilities for the types of videos you can make in that niche. It doesn't mean it all has to be like a cooking with me video. You can also do other types of food videos and like
Mhm.
whatever. Having similar keywords in your title, description, and tags is also huge. Getting your stuff like actually seen and searched for. And that would really just mean like looking up like doing keyword searches. This is all a little bit more advanced. Like I just started really getting back into this type of stuff. So ignore that for a second.
TubeBuddy, vidIQ kinda
Yes,
stuff?
yes.
Yeah,
You
okay.
know, you already know. So but even before that, like really it's like having, serving an audience, having value,
Mhm.
picking a niche and making sure all your stuff like actually is in that niche. And that
Mhm.
doesn't mean like all around like Instagram, everything. It's just like if you want to grow, you just have to have a niche nowadays. And then the third one would be consistency. Like upload consistently, don't skip too long. But I also would say like it's a battle between quality and quantity because on the one hand, you want the quality to be good
Mhm.
and you wanna post consistently, but you don't wanna post so consistently that your videos aren't good or that, like, you're like, you actually miss a week because you're too burnt out, and, like, that's always a balance that you need to find.
Mhm.
Obviously, the more you upload, the better, but also, like, if you were to post an amazing video every Saturday, like, you would do well, you would be fine.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, so I think those are the biggest things. Also nowadays, like, when you are making a video, like really figuring out how to hook your audience in right from the start. I've been noticing more and more like in the past, people would have these long intros and like subscribe and this is what I'm up to and blah, 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 blah. And
Mhm.
now it's just like the video starts and it's like, here are my 3 tips for blah, blah, blah. Number one. And it's like crazy, but I need to even like work on adapting more to that. I feel like I
Yeah.
still don't quite do that. But it's like attention spans are just so much shorter now, especially with things like TikTok.
Thank
It's
you,
just so
TikTok. Yeah.
yeah, literally, thank you, TikTok, like, God. So, really getting into it, like, right away and really hooking the audience in, and then also trying to figure out a way to keep the audience watching for the longest amount possible. Watch time is the number one metric that YouTube looks at when it decides to, like, push your videos to more people, is, like, how long are people watching the video for? So, if you can get people to be sticking around for majority of the video, that's
Mhm.
great. And often the way that people just do that are like, have either like having listicle type of like formats, like, okay,
Yeah.
10 things you need, like we're going to count backwards from 10 of like the most important things when you're starting a YouTube channel. Like obviously you're going to want to hear number one. So
Yeah.
you're like going to wait or you're
Mhm.
going to scrub through, but even if you scrub through, it's still
It
watch
still counts.
time.
Yep. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so I would say those are kind of like my four things. I would say the things to like not stress out about right away at least are like the branding, which is so funny. I feel like I used to be like, "Oh my god, I need like the best banner ever." But it's like those are all things you can fix and adjust and like all anyone's really going to care about is your freaking video. And like the
Mhm.
thumbnail needs to be good. But
Yeah.
like don't stress out about like what are my handles and what's my brand and like oh what should my like description say? Like just make the dang video and then you can fix that stuff later.
Well, perfect. Hey, Adrienne, I think we're hitting our time here. To be honest
Ooh,
with you. So,
I know I
uh,
talk so much.
no, 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 not at all. Like that was wonderful that you hit a bunch of things that and honestly, just the conversation really opened up some things
Yeah,
for me to ask a lot of personal questions that I had about
I
YouTube,
love it.
especially like all the branding
Good.
stuff. So this is very
Yeah,
helpful and hopefully helpful to other people that are listening as well. So,
good. I loved
Adrienne,
it.
where can people find you?
Yes. Well, I live in California. No.
Okay. What is your
Um,
address?
my address is beep. Um, no, so you can find me on YouTube. I have two channels. I have my main channel. If you just search Adrienne Finch, you'll find everything. I have a main channel and I have a vlog channel that's a little bit more like for fun. It's just there. It's small.
Mhm,
I'm inconsistent, but it's fun.
mhm,
And then on TikTok, basically everything is Adrienne Finch. TikTok, Instagram. My podcast is called Self Made Mastery. I am on hiatus, like I mentioned, but if you're interested in, mindset training and kind of just really like creating and living your dream life, you can go check out Self Made Mastery. There's about like 80 episodes right now that are amazing. I will actually toot my own horn and say they are incredible. You should go listen.
mhm.
Um, but yeah, so that's where you can find me.
Fantastic,
And
Adrienne. Thank you so much for coming on this. Like, honestly, this has been a lot of
yeah.
fun. I like,
Thank you for having me. No, it's really cool getting to talk about the journey. It always reminds me just how wild it has been and how different every year has been and how this industry is just all about adapting and it's pretty nutty. It's pretty cool.
that
And
it
I
is.
wish you the best of luck
Oh,
on your endeavors and channel. I expect to see a video soon from you.
uh-oh. Thank you. I will try my best. Maybe that'll be if I upload enough and I gain a little bit of a following, then I'll join on to your podcast at some
Oh
point.
yeah, you can be on my podcast any day you want.
That's a
Yeah.
honestly,
Yeah.
don't threaten me with a good time there, Adrian.
I'm threatening. I am threatening. Knife is at your throat. I
Oh
am
no.
threatening. Sorry, that was inappropriate.
No, 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 you're good. All right, I'm gonna sign this
Anyway.
off. Thanks,
Okay.
Adrian.
You're welcome. Bye-bye.